Hey friends, it's Matt with BoLS, and today we are continuing our coverage of Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team 2nd Edition. In this video, we'll be going into more detail about some of the rules we weren't able to cover in our first video. I'd recommend watching that one first if you haven't seen it yet. You can find the link for that video in this video's description or by clicking the card in the corner right now. This video is going to be a lot more detailed and a bit longer, so let's not waste any more time. We're going to start with going into more details regarding movement actions. We covered the normal move action already, so let's move into the charge action. The charge action functions just like normal move, except the operative gains an additional 2-inch white circle of movement and must finish the movement within engagement range of an enemy operative. An operative cannot take the charge action if it has the conceal order, or if it has already taken the normal move, the dash, or the fallback action. The fallback action is something of the reverse of charge. It does require 2 action points and can only be done while already in engagement range of an enemy. The movement of a fallback action must end that operative outside the engagement range of any other enemy. It can also not be performed on the same activation as a normal move or charge action. The final movement action is dash, which allows movement up to a 3-inch blue square. It cannot be performed if the operative has already performed a charge action. One of the key elements we haven't covered yet is the Overwatch action. The Overwatch action requires 0 action points, but each operative can only perform this action once per turning point. Anytime it would be your turn to activate an operative, but you don't have any operatives left to activate, and your opponent does still have operatives left to activate, you can use the Overwatch action. It allows an operative with the engage order to make a ranged attack at reduced ballistic skill. This provides some nice gameplay balance as your team starts to fall in battle. Before we get into line of sight, it's important to understand terrain traits. Terrain features can have several traits applied to them as agreed upon by both players. Heavy terrain provides cover and is obscuring. Light terrain provides cover usually, but is not obscuring. Terrain can be traversable, meaning operatives can move over or through it at a slight movement cost. Barricades, for example, are considered light and traversable. Finally, a terrain feature can have a vantage point. These elevated terrain features allow operatives to ignore any cover provided by light terrain while attacking any target more than a white circle's distance, which is to say 2 inches, lower than them. Moving on, determining line of sight. When determining line of sight, any operative can be in 3 conditional states with regard to any other operative: visible, obscured, and in cover. For an attacker to have a line of sight to a target, it needs to be visible, not obscured, and the target can only use cover to block line of sight if it has the conceal order. In order for an operative to be fully visible, you must be able to draw an imaginary, unobstructed, straight line that is 1 millimeter wide from the head of the operative to any part of the target operative's miniature, but not its base. Obscuring terrain and cover both require understanding cover lines. Cover lines are imaginary straight lines drawn from any part of the attacker's base to all parts of the target's base, forming a cone as seen here. A target is considered obstructed if it is more than a white circle's distance away from any obscuring terrain which blocks cover lines from the attacker. However, any obscuring terrain feature, which is within 1 black triangle's distance, 1 inch, of the attacker is not considered while determining obstruction to the target. Basically, if the attacker is standing next to a barricade, they can shoot over it with no issue. But if they are standing far back from it, it does obscure their target. Hi, I wanted to interrupt myself while I'm editing this video to clarify what I just said about barricades obscuring your vision. Barricades are considered light and therefore do not obscure vision. When I said barricade, I was talking lowercase b, generally speaking, not capital B as the actual barricade terrain feature. Just wanted to specify that. Thanks. For cover, The target is considered to be in cover if the attacker is more than a white circle's distance away and the target is within a black triangle's distance within the covering terrain feature that blocks the cover lines from the attacker. Remember, cover only applies to any operatives using the conceal order. The core rulebook provides several examples for what does and does not constitute obstruction and cover. Another rule worth knowing is the idea of group activation. Each unit has a stat for their group activation, or GA. This represents how many operatives of the same type are activated in succession before passing control back to the other player. Most operatives have a GA of 1, but if an operative has a GA higher than 1, then as soon as their activation is complete, the controlling player would activate another operative of the same type and continue until they have activated as many operatives as listed on that group's GA stat. Finally, let's take a look at a sample mission. The core rulebook provides 9 missions to play through, but we'll just take a look at the first one. The mission we're going to take a look at is Loot and Salvage. All missions in the core rules provide special rules, which apply while playing that mission. In this case, the special rule for Loot and Salvage is Loot and Salvage. In this example, it provides a special mission action operatives can take while within a black triangle's distance of an objective marker. Each objective marker can only be looted once per turning point, which is useful because of the mission's objective, which grants 1 victory point each time an operative successfully takes the Loot and Salvage action. Remember, each team also has their own special TAC ops to provide additional victory points throughout the mission, as we discussed in our last video. And at the bottom of the mission is the kill zone setup. This shows where objectives will be placed and in which areas players are able to deploy their operatives during setup. And that's a quick sample mission. If you need a refresher on the basic rules of Kill Team, you can click this video up here. And if you're curious what you'll find in the Kill Team Octarius box, you can click this video down here. Again, I am Matt with BoLS. Thanks for watching. Bye!